you want to?
I think we're on. You can hear us? Yeah. There you go.
Okay, awesome. Welcome everyone to our first meeting of 2024. Quick roll call. Joining us online, we have Sarah for the city, Richard Walker and Nick Brash. In the boardroom here today, we have myself, Kevin Wire, Don Marini, Lawrence Foster, and for the city, we have Alana and Travis. Did everybody have an opportunity to look at the December 19th minute? Do we have any questions, concerns?
Very robust minutes.
Yeah. Okay.
Was delicious.
And that was unanimous. If no questions or concerns, I'll ask for a mover on those minutes. Jeff, seconder, and all in favor. And Nick and Richard.
Turn his camera on.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Declaration of pecuniary interest. We do have two declarations today. So myself with regards to the Foresters Conference and Lawrence with regards to the mountain bike trail contract.
And Richard submitted for push.
Oh, and so sorry, 3. So Richard for the bush plate. Excellent. If there is nothing further on pecuniary interest, Travis, I will turn it over to you for an overview and update, please.
Thanks, Beverly. So welcome back, everybody. Just going to give a couple of quick updates here. I'm going to start off with the waterfront design plan. I know a number of you were involved in terms of coming to the meetings with O2 and providing some input and or just sharing some of your interest in what could go forward. We closed out the online survey for the waterfront design plan, and we had 906 individuals fill it out with thousands of comments, which was fantastic. I think the largest survey that the city ever had was roughly about 355 people filling out. So it was great to see the numbers, and I would say overall incredibly popular. I think people are really excited about it. O2 has taken that information back. They're currently working with the concepts that were provided from the community at large, and they will be getting back to us with the draft concept in February. Once that concept has been reviewed by the board and the city staff, it will go back out to the community for further comment. So there'll be another opportunity to continue with public engagement, and then hopefully wrapping that up towards the end of March. The next piece, and it's a really sad update, is winter. We've had a very unfortunate start, I think, as everybody can tell. Not much snow has led to obviously a drop overall throughout December. Had the opportunity to get out skiing at Surgemount in December, which thanks to their investment in snowmaking was really good. But talking to the staff out there, I know that the Christmas period wasn't as strong as they had hoped. Had similar conversations with Stokely, and obviously Hiawatha Highlands is struggling to get their trails through. Kind of compounding that was the last snowfall really seemed to hit Michigan quite well, but didn't kind of come over to this area. So, we're hoping that as the winter progresses, we'll see additional uptick in visitation, and certainly seeing some of that offset by a number of events and sporting tournaments that are happening. Last item, we recently were awarded an Ontario Cup mountain bike event for this year. So that'll be June 15th and 16th. So it's a provincial race series. The Ontario Cycling Association and our team are working together to pull together the details from that. But that's a really exciting event, and obviously one with some provincial recognition there. So that's great. And the last one is we've currently got about 1.7 million in terms of mat collection. We did have some multi-month delays from couple of the hoteliers. Those have since been reconciled. We're hoping to collect close to 1.8 this year, which will be very positive, and hopefully something we can continue to see in the future. As part of that, we will be going out for tender shortly on the visitor spend for 2023. Got some follow-up conversations with Destination Canada that need to happen. And then after that, we will be seeking some bids for that. So that'll be interesting to see that data point when it comes in. That's it.
Rich, financial update, bookkeeping services for the statements.
I can do a quick update on the transfer of bookkeeping services. So we've been in constant contact with Prittle Luck. They are starting the transition. We made our first electronic payment to a vendor this week, which is light years ahead because we've been doing hard copy checks, as everyone knows. So it's starting to move. There's a little bit of a transition period where the city needs to wrap up the 2023 books to be able to hand over everything properly. So there's a bit of a transition period, but our contact at Prittle Luck has been extremely responsive, very cooperative, helpful, everything that we would want. So looks like we're on the right track to get that transition underway. We have all the banking and accounts set up. So right now it's just a matter of getting everything handed over.
So the financial statements did go out.
So Richard, do you want to take the financial statements?
Sure. Just bearing in mind that this financial statement is from 2022, not this past year. So I mean, the bookkeeping has been very slow in processing. But anyway, so what you had sent out to you was the financial statements for the December 22nd year end. And on the balance sheet, you'll see that we had at December, we had $1.2 million roughly in the bank. So we have lots of money in the bank at that time. So if you go to the financial statement, so page 2, you'll see that we had revenue of $763,000, which is the MAT tax that's allocated to Tourism Sault Ste. Marie. That's formula driven. And I'll get into that in a second when I'll go back to that. Then the other income, there's $57,000. There's basically 2 items in that. The 2 items are about $30,000 from the ads that tourism sells for the book that they put out, and the rest is interest that we get, or most of the rest is the interest we get on our bank account, which is as a result of the banking arrangement the city has at that point in time with the old banker. Now, we haven't switched over, so hopefully that interest continues on. If it doesn't, we'll have to make a decision on that. So down on the next line down is a general development. You'll see is a $402,000. Of the 402, Miss Marie was 200,000. The Plaza was 100,000. STR Reports was 5,900. Bonsu was 75,000. On that particular one, we had a budget only of 270,000, but all of that stuff in general development was by board resolution. In the advertising, we spent 365,000, a budget of 321. For those that were on the board back in 2022, I think we did have a special resolution where we increased the spend in the wintertime because we were coming out of COVID, if I remember correctly. The rest of the stuff is pretty small, so we had a small deficit from there. Just to remind everybody that on the commitment notes, we still had, going into 2023, we still had $100,000 committed for the plaza. So Just a minor note is for 2023, again, that's a map, it's driven by a provincial formula. So 2023, we're gonna have revenues slightly less than what we had in 2023 of 758. So if you take Travis's numbers of 1.8 million, I just want to just quickly go through this to make sure everybody's on the same page. The 1.8 million, the first dollars go to Tourism Sault Ste. Marie, which is the 758. Then the rest falls into the two pots. One the city gets, and the other one goes into the TDF. So roughly 520,000 will go into the TDF when all of the stuff gets calculated, and that'll go in and be available in 2024. Questions?
Thank you, Richard. Okay, Travis, I believe that you're going to speak to new business with regards to the board member vacancy in Stephen Mountain Bike Trails.
Sure, okay. So, shortly after our last board meeting, we had Loveleen resign. She has a number of, I guess, family issues that she's dealing with and is currently in India. So it just made sense for her to take a step away. So we do have a posting out right now for a new board member. Link has been sent out as to how individuals can apply for that. It's a hotelier position, so it's a community level position, and the closing date is February 2nd. If you have any friends, family, probably not family, but friends or colleagues or people that you're aware of that may be interested in applying, but have any questions, feel free to put them directly into contact with Alan and I, and we can discuss that going forward. Any questions with respect to board member? Okay. So yeah, just if you know people, February 2nd is the date. We are very interested in getting qualified members. I guess the only other thing that I will state is Alana and I are not involved in the selection of the committee members. So it goes to a special committee within the city that they'll be there. So that's that. With respect to the mountain bike contract, so we did go out for tender towards the end of last year. The bids were due just before the Christmas break. So we received multiple bids, which was great to see, fairly competitive across the board. We had two vendors, just given the workload and what we're hoping to achieve. It'll be exactly the same as last year. The vendors that were awarded were Holocene and Precambrian. Holocene being the local vendor, and then Precambrian being out of Thunder Bay. Weather pending, we're hoping to kick off that work in early March, and early May, which will be good because it'll help us, I guess, be well positioned for both Crank the Shield that will be happening this year. We'll have some new trails on board for them, as well as the Salty Marie. We will be also looking at probably some modifications to the existing trails to make them more compatible for the Ontario Cup as well. So really timely with the work. The awards values that we are going to be issuing, and as of right now, this is inclusive of the HST. We're going to be awarding should the board approve it, $176,974 to Holocene, and Precambrian will be $276,760 for the scope of works that they have. And the way that that work is currently outlaid, we've got some core trails that are allocated, and then some flexibility with respect to the potential to take on new trails. So should all of those items proceed, that's where the total value comes into play for both of those.
Just a quick recap, that's the money that the board's previously committed that's matched with the Fednor dollars.
Actually,
No, for
NOHFC dollars
NOHFC
plus the city funds. So
Yeah.
with that allocation, we'll still have $180,000 remaining in the pot of funding that was allocated through NOHFC. We have a separate pot of money for the Wishart Creek or Wishart Park Root River project that we will be hopefully putting out the tender for the bridge by early March. So
Thank you, Travis. Any questions with regards to the mountain bike trails?
Yeah, I'm still confused, Travis, so 176 and 276, how much of that is coming out of our bank account?
So the way that it's currently been structured is those funds will be coming out of Tourism Sault Ste. Marie's bank account, and then they're replenished by the NOHFC deposits as well as the deposits from the city. So can't recall exactly. So we had just over 300,000 or roughly 300,000 deposited by NOHFC in December, and then as of right now, another 129,000 deposited by the city in early January. So that will continue to kind of operate that way. So the funds themselves have been paid initially through Tourism Sault Ste. Marie because that's who holds the contracts with the vendors, and then replenished by both of those parties.
So roughly, what's our percentage? Just as a matter of, I know I'm putting you on the spot, but.
So NOHFC is coming to the table with 50%, and then I believe it's like this isn't going to be 100% accurate, but let's say the city is coming with 54% of the remaining 50%, and the board's coming with 46.
Okay.
So, but do not, other than the NOHFC portion, do not quote me on the exact percentage for the city versus tourism. But we can do the math.
That's close enough.
It's fairly close.
It is. Yeah.
And that was through the TDF, if I recall.
It was a direct contribution from the General Development Fund of the board. So when the contribution from the board, there was a rather large reserve the board was sitting on at the time. I think there was 1.2 to 1.3 million, and that's when the funds were allocated from the board. And then the city has allocated slightly more funds through the city share.
March last year.
So it's 2022. So.
Yeah, if you go to the 2022 financial statements that we just went through, it was almost $1.2 million surplus there at the end of December.
I think as of today, we just looked, there's roughly $1 million in the account for Tourism Sault Ste. Marie.
Excellent. If there's nothing else with regards to the not bike trails, I'm assuming your waterfront design in.
I kind of,
Yeah.
I don't follow these rules.
We do have Jamie Hilsinger that joined us as executive director for the Canadian Heritage Center, and she's going to give us a little bit of a presentation. Welcome, Jamie.
Tara's gonna put it up on the screen.
Thank you.
Firstly, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate you guys considering this project. So the Bushland Museum, to give you a bit of context as to who we are, in case you don't know, it is the #1 attraction in Sault Ste. Marie. So that is according to TripAdvisor. We've held that position for a very long time, which we're very proud of. We also serve both the community and help drive tourism in the economy. Our economic impact was $2.7 million last year, and that's according to the Tourism Regional Economic Impact Model produced by the Ontario government. We deliver great experiences to both groups, educational programming for the community, and we also create meaningful community events here at the year. Slide, please.
No, she did it.
Oh, thank you.
You do have people online too, just so you know, but I'm gonna make them small.
Yes. Done this usually before. So the Bush Plains is a tourism driver, and also a community hub. We had over 31,000 paid visitors last year. That includes your tourist group. If you incorporate the unpaid visitors, we're at over 55,000 people who come to the building last year. The paid visitors, though, really puts us on par with visitation at the tour train, and certainly makes us the largest cultural attraction, not only in size, but also in visitation. Many of our paid visitors are coming from 40 kilometers or further away. That's that 60% figure you're seeing there. We saw about 25% from the US last year, which is quite a significant increase. We positively contribute to tourists staying in Sault Ste. Marie. So I know this can be sometimes hard to envision, but I spent a lot of time, if you know my history, I worked at the Bar Calgary, and part of my duties there, I ran an annual survey, visitor survey. And one thing that always struck me about that survey is people, over 50% of respondents would continuously say they were passing, just going. They weren't staying. So when I got to the Bush Plain, I started doing the same thing. And this year's survey demonstrated that out of the people who said they were coming from outside of Sault Ste. Marie, 68% of them were staying 2, 3, 4 more nights with their visit. So I think that positively demonstrates that Canadian Bush Plain Museum contributes to people staying longer in Sault Ste. Marie. Because when people provide people with things to do, they will stay. Based on that that return on the visitor survey, I was able to kind of deduce that about 13,000 room nights a year are influenced by the Bush Plain. In addition, we also served 1,400 students. We did that this year, and that's growing. And we had 3,900 programming visitors, seniors and children throughout 2023. So we got lots of people coming through the door. Next slide. So the project we're asking you for is to help us get started on a renewal of our Children's Play Center. This is a really important feature, but it's pretty dated and has very few actual activities for people to do. It currently draws in visitors, but it's underwhelming. It is rated feature number 4 out of 10, surprisingly, on our visitor survey. But we do get feedback usually at the gate that says, oh, well, you know, this wasn't working, or you know, there wasn't as much to do. Overall, the displays are kind of stagnant, they're moderately interactive, and the graphics are pretty dull at this point, as you can see. Next slide. We currently, some of the other challenges we're experiencing is our education initiative. So whenever our education coordinator brings a class in, they overtake this space. And they don't really have a real space to put their stuff to have activities go on without disrupting the flow of visitors. So it's a conflict between types of visitors. We've made efforts to improve areas. You can see in the top corner there, we've kind of got a little toddler zone we did on the cheap. So this was a way of kind of creating a little more of a play space, and it has proven popular despite the fact that we didn't actually put a lot into it. But overall, you know, things are becoming pretty outdated. The So You Want to Be Pilot exhibit, it's not always accessible. Parts of it don't work or just don't make sense. There's a your reaction part to it that just does not function at all. And then we've got the video games, which take up quite a bit of space, but are constantly breaking. We're replacing controllers at least once, if not twice. And I actually just had 2 of them taken out. So sick of seeing that. Next slide. So you'll see in your package, I did put a nicer color copy version of this so you could see it up close. This is kind of our attempt at a proposed layout, which we gave to potential vendors. Overall, our project goal is to increase visitation and increase the length of visit at the bush. More so, our goals are for the children's itself, we want it to be a more inviting space, to have better flow, so you can see there's kind of a pathway around the exhibits. For there to be better sight lines for parents to have places to actually sit down that are comfortable and not just a hard bench in the middle of the space. And for things to be very interactive. So there should be lots of play and activity. I went to a similar a museum that had a similar concept, and kids played there for 2 hours, no problem. So there's lots to do. We also want to create an education classroom. So this area here would be a semi-private area where when we have classes come, they can go there specifically. They're not going to disrupt the flow of visitors, but they still have regular access, and we would probably use it on weekends for birthdays and other little small events. We want to develop more value for the tourists, and we also want to improve accessibility. So the original design didn't really take into account accessibility. If you're a child and you're in a small wheelchair, it may be hard to read some of the exhibits. Certainly it would be difficult to interact with some of them. And that just physical disabilities doesn't necessarily consider other types of disabilities. So we do want to make sure that is a pillar of what we try to put together as we go forward. Next slide, please. So timeline, essentially what we're asking for is the first step. So we want the design concept. We're hoping to get that funding from the TDF. From there, the project is going to take about a year. So we're expecting, hopefully we'll have installation and be able to unveil it somewhere around 2025. That is a bit of a tight timeline, but it is doable. So we'll hope. I always have high hopes. Next slide, please. The total estimated project upwards of $1 million. So depending on the technology used, we could come in, we're more likely to come in around 800,000, but it will be up there for sure by the time you do the design and build and everything. What we're asking for you is $48,000 for the concept design phase. So this will get us kind of the jump start where we will be able to now take a real plan that's beyond what I've put in front of you to funders and be able to try to leverage that funding so that we can continue forward with the project. We have already received $25,000 in funding from the Maxwell and Catherine Lean Foundation, and we have about 5 other requests already out. So we are actively trying to find funding for the project. Last slide, please. So one of the questions was how are we going to measure the success of this? Well, it's going to be in the visitor numbers. If we start seeing an increase in visitor numbers, we know we've done the right thing. And we've created a valuable attraction for families in Sault Ste. Marie, or coming to Sault Ste. Marie, more importantly. Sault Ste. Marie still lacks a lot of indoor activities for children. So we do feel that this is an important addition to the overall product that Sault Ste. Marie offers to the tourist demographic. And also we will be continuing to run that visitor survey. So we would like to see the children's flight center come up higher as one of the main features that are important to visitors. And that's all I thought. If you have any questions.
Thank you, Jamie. Any questions for Jamie with regards to the plan or?
I was just wondering, is there any plan for the virtual reality?
That's a great question. Yes and no. So we've actually had conversations with Algoma U and I'm forgetting who it is. Anyway, no, it was not with Algoma U, it was another organization. But we're having conversations with them about doing something with simulation. The challenge is trying to find technology that can be more run by the guest.
Yeah.
because you run into this issue where the guests are not able to utilize it, and we don't necessarily have the staffing available, nor do we have the funding or staffing to have someone kind of standing there and manage it. So, we definitely want to consider it, but we're just trying to figure out how best to do it.
You made a great point on your surveys used to do. And so the same thing with my hotel. So my experience is that if you want people to stay, they have to decide before they leave home if they're gonna stay.
Yeah.
So are you gonna change your marketing approach? Like, how are you gonna tell people if you do this, that you have this great children's center?
So I would say we've already started changing our marketing approach in the past 2 years. So we've been doing regular campaigns. We're starting to do them more annually, but we were doing them throughout the summer, where we were reaching through social media into the GTA, and outside of Algoma and so on. We've done a lot more reach beyond just our local area in the past a bit, and I think that will continue. We have a great communications person right now who's putting out so much stuff. I can't even keep up with it, but we're continuing to push that. So I think, we will definitely take that direction and make sure we are attacking digital and print and everything we can to focus on this as an attraction we want.
Yeah, I guess that's great. Lots of times you need something to launch or to have a great campaign. So will you be putting some sort of a grand opening or something
Yes, absolutely.
to create that buzz?
Absolutely.
Is that in this dollar or is that coming out of your normal budget?
No, that would be coming out of my normal budget. The dollars I'm asking is specifically to get us that first part of the overall design, which will give us much more of a concrete plan.
Sorry, I meant your $1 million budget. not
Oh, the $1
$48,000.
million budget.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that would come out of my regular.
This. Same for tourism. huh? Good.
Mark.
Yeah.
We absolutely,
Significant.
Yeah.
we put a lot of money behind it, so we would align that.
Other than it, I would say there's been a pretty good partnership on that.
How often do you guys, I'll be first to admit, it's been a while since I've been at the Bushland Center.
How many times?
How often, like, I guess for like the kids center now, how often do you guys update programming, right? Cause I mean, I guess you gotta keep it fresh so that people see something different or something new every time they come, or have a reason to come back because you have, I don't know, you're running a new program, for example. I don't know if I'm.
When you say programming, are you're meaning things that are happening or the actual exhibit?
I think, I guess both, you know what I mean? Like,
So the exhibits themselves have not been updated in, I believe the last run was 2000, from what I.
Such a good.
Yeah.
possibly.
So they're quite out of date, and I mean, I gotta give kudos, it was clearly built by volunteers, and they did a pretty good job. So 100% kudos to the volunteers who put that, those exhibits together, they lasted this long, that's pretty amazing. But yeah, they haven't been updated, and those core exhibits would be usually on a 5 to 10 year rotation. That's where we're trying to get the entire museum to, is that we're rotating things through and developing, smaller exhibitions that could change a little more frequently. However, in terms of the programming aspect, we have a program coordinator who has children's programming twice a week. We just did some programming, or we're running Movie Madness over the Christmas holiday. That went really well. So we are continuously trying to develop things for people to do. So that's beyond just the museum.
Yeah, and the only reason I ask, and you have a shiny new space, and once people see it once, you wanna, maybe I got a short attention span, but you wanna have something new to come to, right? So
Yeah, and just to speak to that point, I mean, we're kind of going off topic a bit.
yes,
Speak to that point. We've done a lot of work in the past couple of years at trying to develop reasons for people to come back. So whether it's experiencing the content through a live tour, Or we now have a smartphone app and experiencing different content through there. We're going to be launching a new tour on the smartphone app, dealing with kind of a different storyline by April. So that's another way. There's we're working on education events where kids will get a different viewpoint that's based on Jane Goodall's movie Reasons for Hope, which we have there right now. It's a science one. So there's a variety of things that we're trying to do. We're trying to build up some adult evening content as well. And we're going to get that going this year and kind of create those reasons for people to continue to return.
I know I'm a little off topic. I just.
No.
Just putting, saying like, when you put something else new and you build a new fancy place, you don't have reason to come back.
Absolutely.
Jamie, you need to mention about STEM and Jane Goodall too, though. Those are things that bring people, new things that bring people in.
I think I did, but I'll yeah, so Jane Goodall's movie Reasons for Hope is now at the Bushland and running on a daily basis. So we've got 2 movies going on. There's a small exhibit that comes with that, and we're building up some education events that are around it in conjunction with Tom.
Jamie, can I just reconfirm, what was the ask?
$48,000.
Is that the total price for the design work?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we've got 2 quotes, Right to Hatch and Origin Studios out of Ottawa. I did ask for a third, I never got a response. And both of them basically came in for the design concept phase would be $48,000. So I figured that way, whichever one we go, although we only need one, that should cover the cost.
Okay, and just follow up. So I thought I had heard you get 25,000 from another group. Would that be just in terms of starting to save for the capital build? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You're almost there.
It's a slow
Yeah.
process.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's nice to see. I'm not, I don't have a vote on the board, so I'm just asking out of curiosity. But I mean, it's nice to see that you're already thinking towards the capital fundraising.
Oh, yeah, we've been, so our focus, again, off topic, but our focus this year is very much on fundraising. We started that back in August. We've been continuously, and our goals throughout our, in our business plan throughout 2024 is to constantly be putting out asks, whether it's foundations, government sources, whatever.
So just another follow-up. So if you're unsuccessful here, are you able to use some of that capital fundraising towards the study, or it's very specific to?
So that donation did not come with any change of the mission.
Yeah.
Associated with it. So yes, we could. My goal, to be honest, I've written this application before that money came along, so didn't know about it at the time. But my goal is that we're working together and finding all the sources of funding. It's a huge project overall. And I do feel honestly that it's very important to save money just as much as it is to push.
Definitely a gap identified in the strat plan was programming for kids.
And I still can't go for a ride in a bush wing yet,
Working on it.
Did play with that idea though.
I think I mentioned it last time, that's why I say,
Dave, just come visit. I'll take you out. Come on a Tuesday, Thursday afternoon, you'll see how busy we get.
I bet.
Nick, any questions for Jamie?
The audio is always bad when we're on these. Hi, Jeannie. Love the presentation. I think it's a great idea. We hear it a lot too from guests looking for kids and things for them to do. It's like Travis was kind of leaning into it slightly, Jamie. It's a pretty big delta, if you will, there, Kevin Wire, between, if we give $50,000 and then there's $950,000 to go. What are the sources that you're going for? Like, is it NOHFC? Is it other Ontario programs that would be assisting with this once we have the plan?
Yeah, so we've identified a number of programs that would apply. So there's some federal ones, a variety of them. There's cultural spaces, as an example. There's some stuff through FedNor that would work, also through the NOHFC. So those are the main two. I would be looking also at Trillium. There's some programs there that would be appropriate. And then foundations. So we've been working really hard at trying to reach out to those foundations that like to support, like a lot of them like to support education in children. So it's kind of a well-aligned project for that purpose.
Good. No, thank you. That's great.
Creative Spaces. I might be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure they just gave 2 million to Algoma Trad.
I
There
literally
was an
heard
article
that
this
today.
morning, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's that.
Okay, anyone else with the questions for Amy?
All right.
All right. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
joining us today in the presentation. Okay, next up on the agenda, we have. You want to discuss this a little further?
You can.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if that was the times.
Yeah.
Are we voting on something today?
Yeah,
So are we gonna talk about it then, or are we talking about it now?
we could talk about it now.
What's the strat plan say? That's the first thing.
Well, yeah, so when I mean, strat plan, we've got our 3 core priorities, but one of the acknowledgements that was in there was that there was a gap in youth like programming for young families, right? So I think that's a hugely important piece going forward. I know we've got some private sector development that's going to assist with that, knock on wood, but it's a huge gap.
And you said that that was also identified within the waterfront strategic plan,
Yeah, yeah. So
for the waterfront design.
I mean, to a certain degree, well, that's not, I mean, it's indoors, but one of the recommendations from the waterfront design plan was the more young families you could bring, the safer the environment is, the more people will be here. So I think if you were to develop, you know, the primary discussion was developing like a larger scale, you know, park, like almost like a Bellevue Park style play area here, then, you know, you'd probably see a bit of traffic between the bushland and here during summer months.
And just family activities in general, has been identified by the community.
And do we know how much money we'll have in TDF for 23? Because
Oh, the latest deposit's gonna be, as Richard mentioned, it'll be about $500,000. And then I can't, do you have the numbers? I forgot to look at the carryover, but.
I don't think we've done all the final. math,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna say,
But there is some carryover.
I think it's around 150,000,
Yeah,
but I give or take.
we can pull that number
Yeah.
together, but the new contribution will be roughly $500,000.
and we could, if we so chose, we could probably structure it so that they have skin in the game too. If we so chose. Well, for example, if we made the commitment to,
Art gallery would be
Yes.
terrible.
that, you know, it was kind of, you put in this much, we put in this much, and we call it even type thing. Because I guess the backwards conversation is, do we expect, because I know we have a couple TDF applications today. What is the level of, you know, like, for example, I don't know where their art gallery is, I figured they'll be coming back for some cash. Once they get into their fundraising stage.
Yeah, I don't think we have a clear timeline on that, nor do I think they do.
And
I think when they come back for their capital fundraising, that's gonna be like,
it'll be big ass.
it'll be a big ask,
Yeah.
so.
And
I wouldn't let. Like, I wouldn't let that particular project be a hold up on our.
No, I
Yeah.
just in thinking, saying, okay, like if we expect $1 million of TDFS and we have 650 between the care and the worth up.
Yeah,
And, you know, we don't want to overcommit ourselves. You know what I mean?
yeah, well, and
It's hard to
so,
anticipate, but I presumably, sorry.
yeah,
Presumably, we're gonna be asked to contribute for the waterfront development. Some sort of portion, to implement some of those recommendations.
yeah, so the piece to remember there, like, and that may very well be the case, that work's not gonna be done until March. The TDF is city money, plus we have city money. So I think it would, you know, it's done in March, doesn't mean we're gonna move right away on it, like we have to tee up some of the priorities as well as.
No, I get that, you know.
But yes, I hear what you're saying, there's probably some larger asks coming down the pipe.
Yes.
Now, the counter to that, and I'm not. The only other piece that I would say is I think we're getting smarter on the events. In terms of like, we now have some pretty solid data on the events that have come to us year over year, and I think we know maybe what is more reasonable in terms of funding, and maybe not all of those will get. I mean, it's up to the board to decide, but not all of those may get as much as they had previously.
And then I guess the other thought is we've made multiple year commitments to like the Miss Marie, the bus.
That's all pulled
Yeah,
out of that
that's-
number already.
Yeah, so we pulled, okay.
So right off the hop, we'll take it off the total, so that we know whatever we're working with, it's dollars available.
What is the comparative to what we went into 2023 with, and what we spent? Can you move that offhand? So like, what did we have 650,000 going into 2023?
For the TDF, loose numbers, like again, give me some variance here, it was around 400,000. And I'm gonna suggest we spent just shy of 300,000.
Okay. And that was with some pretty decent applications coming through.
Yeah, I know some of them funded through the general funds though.
Yeah.
Because we still have the surplus in the general funds.
We had, it was well over $100,000 worth of PDF applications that were approved in the November meeting.
Yes,
So, although some came out, I mean, I agree with you, there was a pretty hefty payment, especially to the bus through the general development fund. A significant portion still came through the TDF.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Hotelier's opinion. We, to be profitable in our city, have to increase length of stay and increase spend of the people that come here. And we're trying to, through our strategic plan, identify that we can be a family-friendly outdoor adventure type community. And we don't have much. So the Bush Plains are anchored. I don't mean anchored a bad way, I mean a good way. In that part of town, we're developing the whole waterfront. It's a pillar. We're developing that whole area. We're putting a bus that's going to take people around. We need this to be more successful than it is. My point in asking about marketing this event or this new project is that we've got to get people to want to come and book 3-day stays, not take a chance that they'll stay an extra night, because most people have planned out their vacations. And way more value from a tourism perspective, hotelier in the Bush Plain than an art gallery, because not as many people are booking stays to say free specific on an art gallery. So that was my opinion on why I think it's important.
And I think another thing to remember is that the Bush Plain is very tied closely to Science North. And Science North is where they're gonna also be able to work to push those draws. People that are already going to Sudbury, hey, continue on to Sault Ste. Marie, and that's where that additional marketing and that out of town draw will, you know, play into it as well. And, you know, they have, I don't know if everyone knows, but when you have a membership with the Bush Plain, you have access to Science North, same thing, vice versa, you know, and really having something that is gonna draw people to want to come to that is gonna be key.
you raised a good point, and Richard is not here. I think it probably warrants a question, given the relationship to Science North, whether or not Science North advertises the bush plane in Sudbury. And if not, whether that's something they could request, right?
Or is it space that they can put a small display to pique that interest?
Anyways, we as staff can follow up on that.
Refresh my memory though, because I know that they made an application last year for something. Off the top of my head, I can't remember.
I missed what you said.
Largest craft.
The bush,
We did the
oh, the
craft
craft
show.
show, the craft show.
She also did a product development, didn't she? Because she did a presentation. Remember?
She did a presentation.
Can we do the beer thing there?
Yeah, that was through another,
Yeah, that was hard to even know.
she did a presentation. Hold on.
I can't recall other than the craft show, but we can go back to our
She
record.
would have done a presentation for the craft show.
I think that's the only one I remember.
Well, because I remember here, because I remember asking her, so, okay, well, how do we get into a bush plane and fly out of the bush plane center? I forget what they were doing at that time.
Wasn't the beaver. Anyways, we'll have to
Oh,
go back
well,
there.
you know, once
The Beaver Bash was the year before though, that was for 2022.
Probably-
I know, right?
Probably best if we go through our records.
Yeah, no, the Beaver Bash
Not
was
that
for
it,
2022
you know,
though.
I mean, don't get me wrong, and not that it shouldn't bear weight to what we decide with this particular application, I'm just curious.
So that was something that crossed my mind too, is like, I hate to put this on YouTube, but like, should we start tracking over like a 5-year period, what attractions have gotten what?
I do track that. I just don't have it.
Well, in this particular case, think about it, like, it kind of meshes with everything that we're trying to do anyway. Like, it's part of tourism, like the tourism, product development that falls into that category. That's really aligns with the strat plan and the waterfront development plan to make the attractive, you know, part of the destination, right? So in that respect, it definitely checks all those boxes.
There's room in those grants for a marketing line item, right? So
Yeah.
if they wanted to do additional marketing for the grand opening other than just using their own in-house money.
Yeah.
There is room in the application to do that, so I think that could,
And we would help support that too.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because they're part of like our marketing, regular marketing, as things to do with the students.
So my 2 negative items, as father of a 4 and 6-year-old, that whole thing is a children's exhibit for all to take care of. Yeah, that area could use some improvement, I agree. I guess I'm not a big fan of funding, design elements, especially if we're talking about a lot of money, you know, $1 million investment for a group that revenue, not even profit, is 1.3 million. You know, I the 48,000 towards the development would feel like it's a very different thing than towards the plan to me.
I agree with you, and the intent was to not fund studies. We deviated from that with the art gallery. So there's been a bit of a precedent set. I think, and I can't tell the board what to do, but I think if you were to look at one more study, this is the only other anchor, well, arguably the anchor indoor product that we have. So I think it might be worth considering, but I think the board should be mindful of don't go down this path, because you want to see some things that where you're getting an immediate return. Because a lot of these studies, just speaking from city experience and other experience, get done, but don't get implemented. So it's not necessarily money well spent.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Is that it's the concept design and then it's the design that goes through.
Or they can't raise $1 million.
But I think if you were gonna bet on, I mean, we bet on the art gallery. If you were gonna bet on one more institution, this would be the one to do it. But I think after that, the board needs to, I think, maybe consider stepping away from funded studies.
Well, and this one here is a little bit different in that it's an actual concept design as opposed to like a feasibility study, correct?
Yeah, I would imagine as part of the concept design, they're gonna do a costing,
Yeah.
so it's
They may
not,
decide after they see that content that money is too much or too little.
Yeah.
Right? You don't.
And
know.
then are we as a board prepared to, once we have our toes in the pool with this project, are we prepared to approve more money down the line as funding may or may not come through? Or are we walking away after, here's your design concept and best of luck raising the money? Or would we have to kind of be there to buoy them a little bit because we've already believed in the project from the start?
Well, I guess that's what I was getting at, right? So that, for example, if they put up the 25 grand, that they already got that grant and we put in the difference, then we have room to say, okay, we'll support you in this sense like we did with the tour boat and the bus, right? Where we can give you whatever, $20,000 a year in marketing money over a period of a couple of years or 2, 3 years, just like we did with the boat and the tour bus. Right?
So you're saying sort of shift it. Pull some back here to leave us room to work with
Yeah.
after the concept design, which then is a little bit more of a go ahead thing.
Because I'm speaking, because I don't have any, with making the caveat that I have no experience on what NOHFC or some of the other funding agencies come. But I think that if they say, well, if Tourism Sault Ste. Marie is gonna give us, say, 25,000 to help us fund the study phase, I'm pretty sure that they could apply for the other half through NOHFC.
I will put it out that most funding agents will not fund studies. Like that is a caveat. And
Yeah, that's for me, that's what I don't know.
no, and that is a fact. Like the NOHFC, FedNor, most of your funding agencies will not fund studies, which is why you see a lot of these groups get held up in this stage.
And that's why they want us to fund it, so that they can go to those funding agencies and say, hey, we already got the concept study paid for. And that gives them a sense of confidence in them going further. But I mean, it's a chicken egg thing. Do we support some of the study and keep some money back for later? Well, if it doesn't go through, then we save some money, but if I think it's just shuffling the stuff around.
personally, I don't think you can view it that way, as like saving money, right? Like it's
But
the city.
technically it is.
Yeah, we can be.
If we
But
fund 25 instead of 48,
Yeah,
and then it never goes through,
yeah,
then we didn't spend 48 on it. But then that's really bad.
I mean, you could get into a position where the map drops for the city share, and you've got other projects that you're gonna prioritize, so, you know.
TDF has always been
I think
labeled as first come, first served,
You
right?
view it as, here is the decision today, whether they come back for more money or not. Just kind of pull that out of this decision process.
To me, I think this group was hands down not gonna support a study if it wasn't the bush plan. Like if there's any hesitation because of how important the bush plan is to us, right? Otherwise, because I think, if I remember right, in my very first meeting, we had Destination Northern Ontario here asking for funding money
Yeah.
in conjunction with.
Yeah, so fair trade,
Told
yeah.
them to bounce hand, like we did. Might have been because it was the train, not Dave.
So. I don't know if you're voting on this now.
Well,
What did you guys come up with? It's your
We don't per product. We don't, we let.
yeah, the matrix.
You know, just
Yeah.
the matrix, just for minutes.
Yeah. So I mean,
For this one?
Yeah, just use your phone.
I did not know. What I'm scrambling to
So-
try and find is the summary from last year.
Here's the deal. When you look at this from an evaluation matrix, you know, if you look at Does it align with the strat plan? You can tick that box.
Yeah.
Is it something that's available during a slow
You're right.
non-peak season? Ticks that box. Is it available in the downtown waterfront? Ticks that box. Families and youth, yeah, so I mean, I think when you look at it and we can formalize, actually got a product development framework that we can run these through. But just based on those principles alone, you know, the other one that I would apply is, can this be leveraged for more funding? Yes. You know, I think that if you were to run it through a product development matrix, it would come out with a positive number.
I'll add to that, it's data driven. She's got data behind it. No, for sure.
Yes.
But the board may wish, after this study, you know, to scrutinize any further requests for studies, and limit.
I think we're scrutinizing.
Yeah, but you know what I mean, like, yeah,
They're important though, in the sense that you cannot go after any other funding
Yes.
without the study.
Yeah,
so.
you
And
gotta put something out there, you have to have something tangible for those other grants to come forward on.
I think there's a big difference between a design study and a feasibility study too.
I think we should ask there, with or without funding, are they going forward? Like, without our funding, would they go
Well,
forward?
they're gonna go forward and try to raise money, but they can't even do that. So they can't go to their fundraisers and say, here's what's gonna look like with a science study done.
I think it would be safe to assume that the design concept would have a phasing to it that would allow them to scale back on what they're doing based on the studies that they put together. Because I mean, I think the reality of it is if we look at these pictures and if we look at what they have going on down there, it needs work regardless.
I'll say this too, since Jamie took over, it seems like there's a lot more happening there. Like there's a lot of effort going on. So she does really seem like somebody that is super motivated to make this work and make it happen. It had seemed like it was a little bit of a dead period there before she joined the team, and seems like there's more and more things happening over there. So I give her credit for that for sure.
So we have two ways that we can go on this. We can scale it back to a $25,000 and contribute the half. Or we can 48, yeah, 48 with the odds.
Or you do anywhere in between,
Or
right? You could
anywhere
do
in
40 and it puts in the game, like you
Yeah.
didn't come up with whatever formula you think makes sense.
I mean, I'm in support of this particular design. I think that it will certainly help with the draw and certainly help with those gap spaces that we've already identified. But I'm comfortable with,
Scares me a little that
Putting-
we're about to invest all this time, effort, money in downtown. And then we're gonna reject the pillar of downtown. It scares me a little to do that.
I'm in support of it.
I guess my concern is like, if we get 30, and it's like, we're just asking you to come up with another 18. If they can't come up with 18, it feels like they're not serious about, they don't have the oomph to get to $1 million.
Yeah,
You know, there are additional funding sources out there, like, it's just
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I don't think they would be able to. I think it's just gonna, their timelines are now toast. Because now they have to go raise money to get the study done, but they're already wanting to get done by March to have it done in a year. So now we're just taking this project and pushing it however many months it takes. They have the 18, it's in the 25. They just have, that 25 is probably gonna be used as leverage, which they would have to use, that it would have leverage.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I believe they have the oomph to do it. Like I think they have a good team over there, but it's whether, like, you know what I mean?
It's whether or not-
But we want to go, right? Because
I look at it as, if you look at what they've accomplished with their group of volunteers. If they get a design concept and they have a plan. Even if they don't get all the funding, they can probably find people to help make that happen physically. Just like they built that whole infrastructure, everything in there. they're gonna at least have a vision of where to go and they'll make it happen.
Maybe it's 3 years versus 1. Maybe it's 1 or 2 of the components instead of all of them right away.
So I'd be in support.
Nick, any further comments on this one?
Should we check on Richard?
Well, he may have stepped
He
away
stepped
so
away.
we can have the discussion.
I know I've seen him peek a few times. I have to come back and look.
Hello, Richard.
You put them in the chat to let them know.
Do you have his cell?
I guess.
Hey, Richard, you can come back now.
He can't vote on it.
Awesome, thanks, bye.
And technically, he's not supposed to speak at all, but he shouldn't have even told. Like, it should be nothing when you have a low conflict. So he
Yeah.
stepped out.
One of those things that are just like.
He was probably getting the itch, eh?
Yeah.
So much to say.
Wow.
Were you at the driving range, Richard?
I'm down in the Keys, so there's not very many golf courses down here. Believe it or not.
Well, they're all islands. You get a good vibe.
Every, everybody,
Down here.
everybody that lives down here has got a, how would I say that? They spend more money on their boat than they do on their vehicles, so.
So we lost Travis, but Elena, are you doing the presentation on the professional forestry conference?
I am.
Okay, excellent. We'll move on with that then.
Beverly, you have a conflict on this one, is good? I do. Okay. So Tara has been working with the Ontario Professional Foresters Association regarding their annual conference in AGM. It's scheduled for April 16 to 18. They have asked for 20,000, which is the cap, and staff is moving forward with a recommendation of 2,000 after we go through the matrix. Quick overview, it's held in different locations in the spring, brings together foresters from across Ontario. The conference is over 3 days. They are offering it as a hybrid format as well, so it'll be a combination of in-person and virtual. Estimating 55 locals, 15 from the region, 100 folks from across Ontario, and 5 from Canada. So following the matrix that we do, we put it through the assessment. It shakes out at about a $55,000 economic impact. The marketing, it stays within their general group of professional foresters. So it's not much that we would be marketing outside for the public. The goal is to try and make it a sustainable conference and make our location, obviously one that different conferences want to come to and make it affordable. The evaluation matrix, when we put it through, shakes out at a recommendation of 2,000. Staff is recommending that we follow through with the 2,000 to support with AV and different requirements that they have to put on the conference. Venue, sound, transportation, field tours. So any of those items.
Anyone with questions for Elena?
Oh, is the conference happening regardless? They're just looking to process the cost through the contract.
You're allowed to answer that.
Yeah, so the conference is secure, it's coming, it's not through anything on here.
So what exactly would a conference want money from tourism for?
So it's bringing people in from out of town, so it fits in the visitor matrix, they're coming, it's to help support the costs of venue rental, logistics, sound, transportation, and they're doing site tours, so they need buses and transportation to bring people around. Just trying to
She tried it.
We brought that.
properly.
So, but they're gonna make money. Like they're budgeting to make 20,000, but they want 20,000.
Correct. We see this a lot with conferences, for sure. That's why we bring it down to what makes sense based on the matrix, based on visitor days. To support different pieces that would probably get cut if they weren't able to do it, like the transportation or pieces like that, that help support, that put money back into the local economy. We've done it for just, again, it's your decision, but I think this is probably the 4th or 5th conference that we've looked at that's fallen into this level of funding support.
I'd be way more comfortable if they weren't allowed hybrid. That allows for less people to come to the event.
Pick up registration for people registered for swimming or registered to be outside.
Tara, are you online right now?
A good GM would probably know where they were last year, but the numbers were like.
Good one, maybe.
Which part of that was the dig?
There was no date there.
Tara? I know where she went. She's been working with them directly. I don't know if we have, we don't have the registration numbers. We go based on what they put in their app.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We're wondering what the registration numbers are for the forestry conference. And if we have any data on last year's registration for in-person.
So you're asking if there's any data on last year's registration and if we have any currently
Correct.
for this year?
Can you confirm the numbers in the application as being visitors that are coming from out of town?
I am going off of the numbers that they are giving me of what they're expecting to come in from out of town. I can reach back out to them to see if they've confirmed those numbers, if they've opened up registration to see what they're at, but it's not till April, so they might not have everything yet.
Maybe just the way less more than $2,000 on.
Yeah, what we do, like when Tara's out selling the community as a location to come to host conferences, to host events, that's one of the things that we say is if you bring a group here, you are eligible to apply to the TDF. It's an incentive to try and attract people to the community. So with that, it helps to have the actual support of that money to be able to say, we do follow through with those lures to bring people here. Okay, I don't know if I don't have anything else. Tara, do you have anything else for this conference that you can share that can help support this? Or do you
Not
know-
at this time.
The question we have is the hybrid, being a hybrid, is there a risk that more people will choose the hybrid option and not physically come to the community?
I mean, there's always a risk, but from my conversation with them is that they're expecting people to come to this conference. They're just leaving that door open for those that may not be able to travel at that time.
Transportation.
It's like doing the contract that she probably did. It's here's your number. You don't reach this number. It's attrition. So here's your number. If you reach the number you said you were going to reach, who will leave it to them? For life. That's probably, yeah, it's $2,000. So it's in words.
There.
Just makes them give you real numbers.
Well, we do get final reports that show the numbers, but we've never withheld money based on those numbers. It's not in the model that we use. Exactly. So
You can't for, I think, a couple of reasons. One, like if it was not a conference, then there's like you suddenly embedded a degree of risk within that event organizer that they were assuming wasn't going to be there because of the funding into as the city allocating the funding, we can't commit at a from a council level and then pull it back. Not necessarily.
But you do that all the time when you're paying for certain marketing, right? You don't pay them until they give you the receipts.
Everything is paid up front. Always is. So if we were to use this for an example, say they're using the $2,000 to hire a bus to move people from the hotel to the Bush Plane Museum. If there's one person on that bus or 50, their cost is the same. So that's why we pick items that we know have a tangible expense that's not tied to the exact number of visitors, but it enhances the event. You need AV equipment, like things that you're gonna need to run the conference. So, and they would pay up front and we would reimburse. Where we track the visitor days, it will have an impact, and the conferences are a bit of a difference, but with events that apply annually year over year, then you'll have that data. But the ones that just kind of pop in and out, we have to go on the best information that we're given by the event.
Where were they last year? What were the numbers? To me,
The numbers don't seem high, like the numbers are, they do look very realistic.
they are.
Yeah,
get-
Elena, they are
20,000.
basing their numbers off of past years. And they're asking for the money just in case they don't reach those numbers.
$2,000.
Well, I think that's the 20,000 though, that
Yes.
they're referring to,
Yeah.
that's
That's
the 20,000.
Everybody applies for the top, and that's why we go through it and go, "Okay, it makes sense."
But in their revenues of $80,000, does that include their ask of 20? Do we know that?
Sarah?
I'm just reviewing their budget here. So their total expenditures that they're looking at is about 60. Right? So everything, it's not included in their budget that would they have the money from us.
Well, yeah, except for they've got an $81,000 revenue item.
Mhm.
And they say it's registration, tour banquets, sponsors, etc. So that was so in the 81,000, does it include their ask of us of 20? I guess that's the ultimate question.
So let me ask, Kevin, I'm gonna this back to you. Would it make you feel more comfortable? So they're looking at promotional impact, social media, marketing, Twitter, Facebook, email marketing campaigns to OPFA members, print advertising, direct outreach to forestry schools, university workplaces to promote the event, dedicated event website. Would it make you feel more comfortable or, better dollars spent if we could get a commitment that at the very least, whether it be our email links or direct information related to Tourism Sault Ste. Marie is included in those emails, is included, as part of that.
We do that, as part of the marketing for the city, right? When the conference comes in, we provide them with all
But
the.
I'm saying in advance, like we make it a condition of the funding that they have to have this stuff going out, especially in their email distribution. Come to Sault Ste. Marie, here's everything that they have to offer with the link to Tourism Sault Ste. Marie.
And that is a condition in the agreement that they sign, is there has to be recognition and all those links have to be.
Mhm.
It's too
Okay, the U18 AAA Hockey Championship, Elena.
Okay, we are working with U18 AAA. They are bringing this tournament in. To your point, Dawn, it is coming. It's not a bid. It's confirmed to be hosted in the Sioux April 8th to the 14th. So it's U18 AAA hockey. It'll be the teams from the 4 member partners, so the NHA, GTHL and the OMHA Alliance, to compete for the U18 championship, which will then put these teams forward. I believe it's for the TELUS Cup. So a number of locals, they're looking at over 5,000. It is a very popular age group for people to go and spectate, looking at just over 600 people coming in from out of town, 50 from the States. When we go through the economic impact, we are here for the 6 days, puts it at just shy of 570,000. The event budget goes through, we're looking at 96.5 for expenses, revenue sitting at 87.7. There is 45,000 in sponsorship that's being generated and 10,000 in fundraising that goes towards supporting the event. The rest comes through gate fees. When you put it through the matrix, it scores a 66, which puts it at mid-range between 60 and 79 at 10,000 plus. Josh is working with this group. His recommendation is to consider 12,000 in support. Although this tournament does rotate, it will, there's gaps in between, so it does fill a nice time slot in April when it's due. It helps keep our local hosting legacy current with a high-profile event. He's looking for money to help offset their budget with venue rentals and other fees.
Will make me happier that I'm just peace out this year. I give you 12 grand, but you got 8 on U18 AAAs this year. Commit to bringing U16 or something AAAs next year. You know,
We do have those conversations. We can't tie them in as.
Boy.
They're saying $150 a night, but they're looking for $85 room rates. It says here the revenue is based on $150 a night average rate, so.
I can rest assured though, seeing like we're polluting, that I don't give the $85 rates. Ever.
That's not collusion.
That's the
Well, no, that $150, are you looking at the economic impact? That is not that. That's the number that we use.
You guys.
We use that. That's not coming from them. And it's an old number, but our economic impact number is $150 per person per day. So that has nothing to do really with room rates. That's just what the economic model is.
That's probably.
Food spend.
That's food
Yeah.
spend,
It's like
retail.
$150 per person.
Yeah.
You've got-
That's probably woefully under.
You're gonna have to
It's
drop
definitely
your
low.
rates even further to. Hit that
Yeah.
150.
I suspect it's probably closer to 250, but it's never really been updated officially.
Standard
Yeah.
across the industry.
And let's, even when we had the World Under 17s, we did not get the participation out of town that we expected. It was very poorly.
For the spectator side.
Yes.
These numbers are based on player and teams,
Not spectator.
not spectators.
So the
Out
US
of
is
town
one team.
visitors,
That's everything. That's it. That's
including spectators.
it'll be rolled in there, but that'll be, yeah. We definitely did for the U17. I have to go through the numbers on this, but with the 5 teams. Yeah, that would definitely be spectators. Right.
I'm sure there's families that would come.
Yeah.
Like I remember seeing when we did that U17 or whatever the world.
Yeah.
There were a lot of scouts.
Yes. So that was
Like maybe
most
not
of the spectators.
Yeah.
Yeah.
spoiled.
But that was an exception in our community. The other cities have had much higher spectator numbers.
That scares
Probably direct
me.
flights.
We're a Greyhound town, not a hockey town.
But we know it's flights, like I know it was identified off topic, but identified in the strap plan about lack of direct flights.
Yeah.
Like to hold an international event and people gotta make 6 transfers, that's
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
That's hard, like people don't wanna do it. Especially nowadays, you lose your luggage, you end up somewhere else.
This looks like a fairly high profile tournament. Does it get covered by TSN or any of the sports networks? I don't mean live, but would they cover the day-to-day operations?
It's a regional event. It's not that high profile.
The
Well,
next,
this is-
the team that wins this tournament will be in a much higher profile event. So it's the
Okay.
feeder for the higher profile one.
And sorry, Elena, you referenced our hosting legacy, so so this would be an event that would attribute to.
Yeah, so when we do our sales pitch for the community and you're talking about, what events have you hosted, we want to have a series of high caliber events that kind of hit that national, provincial, regional, local scale. We would put this one in, it's a regional event, but it's a UAAA 18 tournament. It's coming here regardless. Like it's on a rotation, but when we put high profile events like this and we do them well, it just bodes well for our legacy to be able to go after and leverage for higher events. For the TELUS Cup is actually that's the cherry, right? That's what we want to go after in years since we posted the TELUS Cup.
That's updated that this year.
Hockey ones are hard. Those big ones are hard for us.
So we have to ask ourselves, it's 12 grand. We gotta pay 12 grand to increase our whatever legacy, whatever, what did you call it?
Well, we call it a hosting legacy,
Posting legacy.
but again, these numbers shake out. There's lots of factors that we're looking at. The visitor days in the matrix, right? Those are really what we hinge our recommendations on. Who's coming in from my town? What does that look like? What's being generated in the community in terms of visitor stays? And that's what's weighted the heaviest. I think it's 20, I've looked at the numbers, I think it's 20%.
What's
35% of that is based on visitor days.
what was the dates for the Forester?
It's right after that.
Yeah,
Okay, I
16.
sounded for a second, it sounded like it coincided.
so a weekend apart. And then these hockey teams are in here in town for 6 days mid-April.
Well paid for hotel years. But we love the revenue, just that teams.
Well, again, this is U18, these are people that are being scouted by.
They're more serious.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you're not gonna get the damage in the hallways that you get with when my kids go to.
Well, if you'd like, I can show you the pictures from the OHL team that were at my hotel this week,
Oh, no.
because they trashed both.
Oh, wow.
Which is not normal.
No.
So for me, it's the legacy part, but I think if it's gonna be the legacy part, can our money go towards something above and beyond a normal event? Is there something we can do that the teams, the coaching, the scouts, the fans leave going, holy shit, that was a great event. What can we do as a city to make it a better event than where they had theirs last year? To make them want to have a TELUS Cup here? That I'm willing to put all kinds of money.
Is
I just don't know what it
Well,
is.
and
Is there opportunity to do that? Like, I don't know, like, do they have like a banquet at the end of it or?
Well-
Something along the lines of we can say, okay, well, we'll put our money towards that kind of
When
thing.
you
I mean,
look,
ice fees is. I get that they need.
Well, what it does, then it displaces their, like, so if we pay for, say, whatever is ice fees, then it frees up money on the other side that they're not paying for to be able to invest into. Because you have to think with these groups, they're paying up front, so it has to be something that they're gonna pay for, that they can, yeah.
so look at the World Juniors. So depending on the host country, at the end of every game, player of the game gets something, and it's something local. And the teams all get some swag. Is that happening with this event? And if it isn't, which is cool that it isn't, can we be part of that? So that there's that extra wow factor that the organizers for TELUS Cup look at that and go, well, that was a memorable event. Look what they did. Look what the community did to welcome us. Something to that effect. I'd be way more comfortable giving money to that than just to offset the budget. Because you said they're coming, whether we give them $1 or 12,000.
I think it's part of a broader conversation with TDS in general, just because the way, and everything's open for discussion, but the way we've done it has been based on visitor days and to try and help support the events. If we're gonna pivot from that into looking at more legacy pieces, we'll have to build that into
You
the
started
application.
the legacy conversation.
Hosting legacy, like, we've always had that, but it needs to be built into the application so we can kind of collect that and look at that as part of the evaluation.
It's true.
Yeah, sure.
Just do the Sault Ste. Marie t-shirts maybe. I mean, just a thought. I agree with what you're saying and having something to take away. Maybe the t-shirt's not the answer there.
I think that's a broader, like. Use, like, that's the piece that we need to add to get these. Events back, like even the big ones, if you can use the O Cup as an example. A race is a race is a race, right? They're provincial race series. But to draw the people here, you have to get something after that event that makes it memorable. So when they leave this event, they're like, Sault Ste. Marie was the best. We can't wait till it's hosted there again. To me, that's a larger conversation than this bid, and probably one that should have started a year ago.
Well,
And that's not on us.
yeah,
You know, that's a two-part piece, right? Like, if we become aware of an event that we as a board, well, you as a board want to get behind, that's part of a larger strategy that we, from a sports tourism perspective, need to probably wrap our head around. And I think once we're done on Zoo, that could be something that,
definitely.
start putting in mind too.
Yeah, because there's almost, I see it almost as two pots of money, or visually in my head, anyway, like, a lot of these events need money at the ground level just to launch and get going. The extra pieces to make it memorable is almost separate
It's like,
vision. Yeah,
that's what we want.
right. The purpose of the tourism development fund, and we have to look at it as it's set up, is to help support events and get them kind of up and going, so. Yeah, I'm sort of,
But yeah, I'm the one who circled back on that.
but hosting legacy, like that piece is what we use in our bid package. So when we go and we want to bid for XYZ event, we list kind of the top 3 or 4 in each line of those that we posted in the last couple of years. So when there's gaps in there and I go, why haven't you hosted any provincial events in 5 years? It's a bit of a start to these groups that are looking at choosing our community. So we always want to kind of keep those refreshed with what we're hosting. So that's what I say when I mean that hosting legs. And then we have our own programs, which
And did they specifically ask for the venue rentals and fixed fees?
no, we say that just because it's an easy one that you know they're paying for, so there's less risk in terms of paying up front and getting those receipts back, right? You know, it's an assumed cost with hosting.
Yeah.
That. We can change that to whatever. If it's marketing wouldn't necessarily align because it's free, there's no, so.
Other than tickets. Nick, they come to you for hosting a team?
I just checked on my system. I don't have anything yet for that weekend. I'm quite wide open.
I don't have anything in the system, but they've already come to the hotels.
Yeah, we haven't had any contact with them yet. No.
Yes, it's one of those things too that you have to qualify to get there, so. Like you get the organizers that may put an RFP at some point. But
Yeah, they've already determined.
I'm sure, yeah,
Yeah.
they wanna be close to the gardens, right?
Yeah, Perry's already been to the hotels, that's why I'm surprised. You haven't talked to Perry? Nick, no,
Great Malacca.
I'm assuming that's right.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
but well, working with Angel, but Harry's right.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Anybody feeling that they feel more comfortable pulling back from the 12,000? The matrix did put it at 10,000 plus. And yeah, 10,000 plus, and then their ask was 12 or 20. Recommendation 12.
I think that'd be true.
It's a big shortfall in your budget, there's,
Just shy of 10.
Yeah.
Or just over 10.
give them the room to do which I'll measure.
Paintbrush.
Okay, that's it. So we have the resolutions in front of us here. The first resolution was with regards to the events position and authorization signing agreements.
We narrowed down a fair bit for that.
No, we need to get the agreements
It's not
started.
posted yet, right?
It's
It'll
been
be posted.
posted,
Yeah,
closed last week.
lots of.
Our legal wanted a agreement in place, just with respect to that, so we're just working through that. And then we'll, kind of move it forward.
We asked how many applicants there was it well received or?
HR won't, we've got like really strict everything. Yeah, so HR,
We will meet him in the parking lot.
yeah, won't advise until, we get some movement this week there.
Okay, so the resolution for the events position as it currently reads is be it resolved that Tourism Sault Ste. Marie Board of Directors authorize the chair of the board to execute an agreement with the city of Sault Ste. Marie detailing the rules and responsibilities of both parties for the employment of an event assistant. Further be it resolved that as per the resolution passed December 19th, 2023 regarding the event assistant position, that the funds be provided by the Tourism Sault Ste. Marie Board of Directors not to exceed $75,000 per annum for the position unless otherwise approved by the board. Do I have a mover for this resolution? Kevin and Dawn as a seconder. And all in favor of this resolution? And motion carried. Resolution on the financial statements. No.
Just one quick question on that one.
Mhm.
Now, those are the 22 statements. Presumably the 23 ones will be ready a lot faster.
Yes, yeah, yeah,
Like, I know there's a transition going on, but.
Yeah. no, 100%.
Okay.
So I'm sure Mr. Secretary can reaffirm that, but yeah.
Okay. So, while Lynn works on that, we have the award of contracts for the mountain bike trail construction 2024. This is one that warrants you have a conflict on. So award of contract to Scene Trail Company 2024 construction. Resolution reads, be it resolved that the Board of Tourism Sault Ste. Marie authorize the chair of the board to enter into a contractual agreement with Full Scene Trail Company for the sum not to exceed $176,974.95, inclusive of HST for the purpose of mountain bike trail construction and the trail extension in the Algoma Trail Network. Do I have a mover for this one? Jeff? And a seconder?
There.
Oh, Nick, thank you. All in favor of the contract for Full Scene? And motion carried.
Did we approve the 2022 financial statements?
I-
Kinda-
Yeah, I didn't have a resolution handy. So we skipped it and we're gonna move back to that one, Richard.
Okay,
So the second half of the mountain bike trails is for Precambrian. So this resolution reads, be it resolved that the Board of Tourism Sault Ste. Marie authorize the chair of the board to enter into contractual agreement with Precambrian Natural Service Trails Inc. for the sum not to exceed $276,760, inclusive of HST, for the purpose of mountain bike trail construction and trail expansion in the Algoma Trail Network. A mover for this one. Jeff, and a seconder. Kevin? And all in favor on this one? Motion carried.
Just written by my seconder. I'll provide it to the host.
Oh, okay. So the resolution with regards to the 2022 financial statements would read, Be it resolved that the Tourism Sault Ste. Marie Board of Directors approve the 2022 financial statement as presented. A mover, Don, and a seconder, Lawrence. And all in favor on this one? And that one carried. You. Okay, we have the Canadian Bush Plain Heritage Center Children's Flight Center. Richard, this was one that you had a conflict on, so you will be voting. And this resolution reads, be it resolved that Tourism Sault Ste. Marie recommends a contribution of $48,000 through the Tourism Development Fund Project Development Stream to support Children's Flight Center upgrade project at the Canadian Bush Plain Heritage Center. And that a report be submitted to City Council for consideration and approval. Do I have a mover? Kevin, and a seconder, Lawrence. And I will call for a vote on this one. All in favor? And that motion carries. The next one would be with regards to the foresters, and I will be not voting on this one. This resolution reads, be it resolved that Tourism Sault Ste. Marie recommend a contribution of $2,000 through the Tourism Development Fund Conferences and Special Events Stream to support the 2024 Ontario Professional Foresters Conference to be held April 16th to 18th, 2024, and that a report be submitted to City Council for consideration and approval. Do I have a mover? Lawrence, and Jeff is a seconder. And I'll call for a vote. And that one carries. The last resolution that we have on the docket is the TDF application for the U18 AAA Hockey Championship. And that resolution reads, be it resolved that Tourism Sault Ste. Marie recommend a contribution of $12,000 through the Tourism Development Fund Conferences and Special Events Stream to support the U18 AAA Conferences Championships to be held April 8th to 14th, 2024, and that a report be submitted to City Council for consideration and approval. Do I have a mover? Jeff? And a seconder? Lawrence? And a vote on the U18? And that carries with Nick and Kevin again?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. That is all on that one. Our next meeting will be February the 13th of 2024. And Tara did leave a copy of the schedule if anyone wanted to have a look at it offhand, but you should have calendar invites on all of that. And if there's nothing else, then I will move to adjourn. Jeff, or Lawrence and Don. Excellent. Thank you everyone for your time today.
Thank you.
Thanks. Good ideas came up. Notice, yeah,